What's going on, Internet? Iron Jordan here. Today, we're going to fight through some sinus problems to talk about a tier list that I made for the set 11 leaders coming in about a month or so. We also included the pre release here, which is the Gohan that comes with the Piccolo. It's kind of similar to the Soul Striker reboot that we got in set 10. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and just lightly describe the tiers and why they are the way they are, and then we'll talk about the leaders. So, first we have SS3 Good. SS3 Good is pretty self explanatory, I think. It's anything that is about as good as SS3 was when he first came out, when he was in his prime. I would also put Mecha in his prime in this category as well. Moving on, we have Tier 1. This will be like your meta leaders. This is going to be anything that you can probably expect to top a regional with a pretty good player. Tier 2 is you could probably top a regional with this. You probably do really well with this kind of deck, but you have to kind of master the leader, master the deck. You have to be a very good player, or at least know that deck really well. Playable is probably like everything lower than Tier 2, so road strategies, Tier 3, or whatever you want to call it. Just playable leaders. Not good, but not bad. Maybe need a little bit of help or don't do as much as the better leaders. Then near unplayable is just where I would put the bad leaders. So, starting off, we're going to talk about Gogeta first. So Gogeta, he's a Red Saiyan, which is really nice. So is the Broly. They can both play Triple Flash, although Triple Flash is not really like a meta pick right now. It kind of gets shut down by a lot of things in the meta, but you can play it. So that's something, I guess. I think this leader is actually really good. I'm going to throw him in the tier 2 category, and then I'll tell you why. So the first thing is that his auto is an up to 1, so you get to add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and then you still get to look at top 7 no matter what, and add an extra card cost 1, a red extra card costs 1 in your hand. Once per turn, whenever you activate a Union skill, you draw 1 card, which is really nice, so it can kind of offset some of that natural hand disadvantages you have with Union. He untaps 2, which is always good. He has natural double strike on the back, and when he attacks, he gets plus 5k and the original skill that he had on the front side. So I think this leader is good. I think that he's tier really 1.5, but we're not doing 0.5s here, so I'm going to put him in 2. I think you could maybe justify him being in tier 1, but I just don't see him being that good. Looking at Broly. So Broly is really interesting because he's kind of an upgraded version of like the crit leaders that we used to have in Slug and in Vegeta, whereas Vegeta was the first he was the first rendition of these, take a life, gain crit. Slug was the second version, and he was an upgraded version because he did stuff on his bat side, whereas Vegeta typically didn't. And then now we have this Broly who does even more. So he untaps 2, which is a first for these crit leaders. Typically they draw 2. He can search for an extra card at any time in his deck, but he only does it once per game. And then on the bat side, he can have permanent crit if you have a Broly BR in play. When he attacks, he's also 20k. And then he can recur his own board, but it's a cost of 2 of his 2 cards in hand. It's a neg 2, is you have to discard a card from your hand, and then you play a Broly BR from your hand, 4 or less. I mean, which is fine. I mean, it's good. It's definitely a good skill, but you're only neg 2 for that. For now, I'm gonna put this guy in playable. I think that he is a solid leader. I think he's fine. I just don't foresee him being like a force in the meta. If we're specifically talking about competitive playable, this is where these guys are at right now. So that's it for the red leaders. Going down to Baby. So Baby's really interesting because he's like the draw go leader. He searches his field card as soon as you put him into play, which is this, which reduces the cost of your counter cards, and it also helps you awaken, which is really, really nice. Oop, that's the Gohan. His big downside, I think, is that he draws 2 instead of untap 2. I think that this leader, because he wants to play on your opponent's turn a lot, I think that untap 2 would have been so much better for him. But his bat side's really good. He has Overlord, which I think is not going to be an irrelevant keyword. I think it'll actually be really strong because it's an additional draw. I think that Overlord by itself is actually a really good, impressive mechanic, and I actually think that it's a little power creepy, but I don't think that it's hyper broken. It's just an additional draw. It's essentially the way that Gotenks, Yellow Gotenks now gets his additional draw. So for Baby, I am actually going to throw Baby into tier 2 along with Gogeta. I think he's just about as good as Gogeta. I think that Baby really suffers from not having the untapped 2. But I do think that these are really good leaders. I could see an argument for putting both of these leaders into tier 1, but if I think that he's just about as good as Gogeta, then I'm not going to put him in tier 1. I could be wrong, and I know that people are kind of, interested about this leader because it's either going to be like Hatchak or Janemba, where it's just going to be, it's going to be miserable to play against, even if you can beat it. Uh, but I don't know. I don't see how powerful it's going to be. But we'll go back in a couple months whenever the set's out and whenever we get a good look at the meta. I will revisit this list and we'll see exactly how wrong I was. The next leader is Vegeta. Now, Vegeta is interesting and probably a little broken in my opinion. When he attacks, he draws a card. Once per turn, when he deals damage to an opponent with this leader, with the leader swing, you get to look at the top card of your deck. If it's mono blue, put in your energy in rest mode, so he permanently ramps, which is interesting. He only draws one when he flips, but we saw with Hatchak that that's not really that big of a deal. The awakening power itself does not exactly make the leader good or bad. His bat side's also really good. He has the same effects as he does on the front side. When he attacks, he draws a card. And then if he deals damage to a leader, he can look at the top card and put it in his energy if it's a mono blue card in rest mode. And then the other thing is whenever your opponent activates a counter skill, he untaps. So he has essentially his dual attack. So this leader's actually really solid. I'm going to throw him into the tier 1 category. I think that this leader is going to be meta. I think he's going to be a force in the meta, and I think he's going to be really solid. So, yeah. Talking about the green leaders now, Gotenks. Oh, my boy. So, for those of you who don't know, I am a big Gotenks fan. I'm really happy he's getting a better, more playable leader in set 11. When he attacks, he draws a card, and then when he's at 4 less life, or if he has a green unison card with energy specified cost of 2, you can untap 1, draw 1. His backside, he attacks when he draws. Permanent, your opponent's leader card can't stack your battle cards. Activate main, once per turn, pay a green. Choose one of your opponent's unison cards, remove a marker from it. Cool. Unison interaction on a leader is always nice. Choose one green card in your hand and discard it. If you do, play 2 ghost tokens in rest mode when they're 15k. I think that this leader would be much better if those ghost tokens didn't come in rest mode, but for the most part, I think he's still really good. I think he's just as good as these other leaders. I'm going to put him in tier 2. Now we have Vegeta and Babidi. Overlord, which is really nice that he has it on his front side, whereas I think Baby only has it on his back side. So he has Overlord on the front side, auto, add 1 card from your life to your hand. When this card attached, draw 1 card, and it gets plus 5,000 power and double strike for the turn. So it is double strike double strike Kaba on a leader, which is insane. 5 or less, he untaps 2, flips himself over. So awakening at 5 is really good, especially on his backside. He doesn't draw when he attacks, but he still has Overlord. Activate main, add 1 card from your life to hand, draw 1 card. Now, the activate main on this, or this part being activate main, means that you can see it coming. But, if it was activate battle, it might have been too good. Activate main once per turn, pay green. You may look at the bottom card of your deck. If it's a Vegeta card with energy cost 3 or less and it has Servant skill, you may play it. Otherwise, return it to the bottom of your deck. It's going to be really good because with the new super combo, you can put the Vegeta on the bottom of your deck and you don't even have to have played it to, play it out. So it's really solid. I think that this leader is incredibly good. I think he's one of the new good aggro leaders in the game, and I'm going to also go ahead and throw him up on tier 1 with Vegeta. I think both of the Vegetas are very good, and they're going to be forces in the meta. Moving on. We have Son Gohan. This is probably the most interesting leader in the new set, in my opinion. So during your turn, if you have a skillless battle card in play, this card gets plus 5k power. So it's going to be really hard for him to be stalled out because he can always get to 15k if you have a vanilla on the field. Auto when he attached, draw a card, then add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Again, this is so good. Having self-awakening on your leader is just unconditional draw, and then hey, I can also awaken if I want. When your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards, flip this card over. Super good. I just really wish that he was untap 2 instead of draw 2. Activate main once per turn, draw 1 card, then play up to 1 yellow skillless battle card with energy cost 1 from your drop area. So, yeah, you don't have to attack to play the skillless card. Activate battle once per turn. When this card is in a battle, if there's a monster card in your combo area, draw 1 card. Again, you just get a free pseudo combo essentially with the monster cards. So, there's a 1-drop vanilla monster, and then there's like a 6-drop. I think there's a 3-drop as well. There's also a 2-drop red vanilla from set 6, I think it was. I don't, maybe it was set 7. I don't remember. But you can just straight up go, hey, I have free super combo. The only thing I think this leader is really not great about is that he draws 2 cards. Now, to be fair, his awakening turn is going to be huge on hand advantage because he's going to have so many cards in hand. He can attack, draw a card, take a life. He's at 4 now. Draw 2. You just went +4. That's kind of insane. So I think this leader is actually pretty solid. I think he's interesting. I don't think he's great. I think he's playable. I think he very squarely fits in playable. But I like him a lot. I'm going to be playing around, messing around with him. Garlic Jr. Overload. I'm sorry, not Overload. Overlord on the front side. And again, I'm sorry, guys. My sinuses are killing me. I've taken so much sinus medicine today. I can't take any more. I'm at my daily limit. So apologies if I am stuffy or congested or whatever. I needed to get a video out to you guys, but I digress. Let's talk more about the video. Auto when you attach to a card, awaken when you're at 4 or less, or if you have a yellow unison card with a specified cost of 3 in play, you may draw 1 card, switch up to 1 of your energy to active mode, add cards from your life to your hand so you have 6 life left, and flip this card over. So, pretty good. Pretty solid. Bat side, Overlord, once per turn, when you attach draw a card, auto, when one of your opponent's cards attach, you may choose 1 yellow demon clan with a energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it in rest mode. If you do, negate this skill for the turn. So he gets to play stuff for free, which is really good. He has Overlord, which is an extra draw, which is nice, and then when he attaches, he draws a card. I don't see anything wrong with this leader. I just think he's pretty solid. I'm going to put him squarely in the playable category. Moving on, Son Goku. So he's a Black Saiyan, which is to be noted because of all of the Veget starter deck cards. He bursts 3, which is really nice, which means he mills himself. He can add up to 1 card from his life to hand to draw 1 card, so he self-awakens. 4 or less, he untaps 1, draws 1. Super good front side, self-awaken, and he mills, and he's a Black Saiyan, so he does all the good stuff. Natural double strike on the back side. During your turn, this card gets plus 5,000 power for every 8 black battle cards in your warp. Amazing. So you're pumping yourself. You're going to be 20, 25k on your bat side pretty easily. Activate main once per turn. Place up to 4 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area. Then draw 1 card. So you don't get the attack draw, but that's really nice because this is up to, so you don't have to fulfill having 4 black battle cards in your warp to get the draw. You can just get it. You can choose 0, get the draw, you're set. You don't have to swing into your opponent. You don't have to give them cards if you don't want to. I think this leader is in contention for tier 1. I think he's really, really good. I think that he fits the same thing that Vegets does, but in a different way. He is not as good as Vegets in my opinion, but he is good in there. Okay, so I think that he's as good as Vegets, but it's in a different way, and that's basically all there is to it for that breakdown. Dart Broly Imperious. Activate main once per turn, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, so self-awakening. Then look at up to the top 5 cards of your deck, place up to 3 black battle cards, 30k power among them in your drop area, and place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So, this guy technically does mill himself, but he doesn't mill himself blindly the way that you would want to. Like if you were playing like the Veget starter deck cards, it all has to be 30ks. When he attacks, he draws a card. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less. You may draw 2 cards and flip this card over, so he doesn't untap. Backside. Activate main once per turn, place up to 3 black battle cards with 30k power from your warp to your drop area, then draw 1 card. Activate battle, choose 1 black battle card with 30k power in your hand or battle area, place it in its owner's drop area. This card gets plus 5k power for the battle. I think this leader's bad. I think this leader's really bad. It's compounded with the fact that he also, all of his cards are 0+5 or 0+0ks for the most part. Like so many of his 30k cards are 0+0ks. I think this leader is near unplayable. I will eat my socks if I'm wrong about this and he ends up being SS3 good, or if he ends up being tier 1, then I will eat a sock on camera. But yeah, I don't think this leader is very good, and so I'm putting him in the near unplayable category. Next, we have this Gohan. So this Gohan is the promo that you get for pre-releasing for set 11. He is a Black Saiyan. Nice. He bursts. Nice. Activate main, add up to 1 Piccolo Savior from beyond from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, then negate this skill for the game. So he adds this guy. Is a black unison permanent. During your turn, this card gets plus 5,000 power for every 2 markers on it. Plus 2, activate main, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. Plus 1, activate main, you may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it if you do draw 1 card. Neg 3, activate main, send up to 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop to their warp. This card's fine. I don't see it being like super broken. It's a 10k on your opponent's turn, so it gets swung into pretty easy. But it can get big, I guess, if he can live, I guess. Be a constant 20-25k beater if you get him that high. But other than that, I mean, I don't see this card being super good. I mean, it's nice that you get to search that, just an additional source of card advantage, but I don't see that being amazing. Auto burst through when you attach draw cards, so obviously you can play the free stuff from the Vegets package, which you probably will. Awaken when you're at 4 or less, untap 1, draw 1. Really nice. Backside, when you attach draw 1 card, they place up to 3 black cards from your warp or your drop area. It's always really nice to recur your warp into your drop, so that's a plus. Auto once per turn, when you activate Overwhelm skill, this card gets plus 5k power and critical or double strike for the turn. Super good. I think this leader is really nice. I think he's going to be a really good aggro leader. I think it's really nice that he searches out his Piccolo, but I don't know if you'll play 4 of the Piccolo because you get to search it. You might play 2 or 3. But yeah, I think this guy like pretty squarely fits in the tier 2 category. And that's basically all that we have for this video today. We've got, as a rundown, we've got Broly in the not playable, Dark Broly in the near unplayable. That doesn't mean he's unplayable. He's near unplayable. We've got Broly, Gohan, and Garlic in the playable, like road strategy slot. We've got Gogeta, Baby, Gotenks, and Gohan in the tier 2 slot, which I can definitely see them, doing some work. And in the potentially tier 1 slot, I've got Vegeta, Majin Vegeta, and Goku Zeno. If you disagree with that, let me know. This is just my opinion. Again, guys, I appreciate you putting up with me through the sinus problems. I really wanted to get a video out for you guys. I know it's been a while since I put one out, and the last one wasn't exactly received very well, and so I wanted to make it up to you guys. So let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you want. Leave a comment. We'll get in some discussion. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.